the Para Cave podcast, proudly brought to you by Rubbish Removal Kings, The Corner Post, Flash Conveyancing, Parramatta Leagues Club, Wine Barrels Event Hire Sydney, and Wick Coffee, proud sponsors of the Para Cave podcast.
We are Flash Conveyancing, your property legal team, and you're listening the Para Cave podcast. If you are buying or selling property in New South Wales, call us. Call Flash Conveyancing.
Let's go! Welcome back to another show. Hi, how are ya? It's a Para Cave podcast coming at ya. Turn it up, feel the vibe, blue and gold. Step inside the cave. Yeah. Easy try in the corner. Here's your host, Troy Warner. Coming to you live from the world famous Para Cave.
Hi, how are ya? Welcome back to the Para Cave podcast. Troy Warner here. This is the NRL round preview podcast, and it is round number 10 in the NRL. And can you believe it? Double figures now, round number 10. So slowly getting towards halfway through the season. So look, this is about the time where you want to start winning games if you haven't already. But if you are, then you are in control of your destiny. But two teams that are trying to get back up the top of the ladder are the Dolphins and the Bulldogs, who play the first game of the round on Thursday the 7th of May at Suncorp Stadium, 7:50pm. And look, there has been some changes, this game being refereed by Grant Atkins with Ashley Klein in the bunker. No changes to the starting 13 for the Dolphins, but Cody Nikorima and Jeremy Marshall-King in jumpers 18 and 19. Bit of news about the Dolphins. Daniel Saifiti has had to retire medically from the NRL. So, yes, he's played for New South Wales and also the Newcastle Knights as well. A shoulder injury he suffered, I think it was earlier this year, I think. And yeah, he had to unfortunately medically retire from the NRL. So his brother Jacob still plays at the Newcastle Knights. So a bit of news there. But look, I was really impressed with the Dolphins last week. Jack Bostock in the centre position there. And as we can see there, his centre partner is Herbie Farnworth, who is just dead set carving it up there. Look, they've got a lot of strike power, these Dolphins, especially in that back line. You've got the hammer. You've got Jack Bostock, who's shown that. Herbie Farnworth, Selwyn Cobbo as well. Look, they got a great back line. Some good forwards as well. But still, Trey Fuller cannot find a spot in this side anywhere. I'd be having him in this side somewhere, that is for sure. But the Bulldogs, look, you would have thought there would have been a few changes to their side, but there's not really, is there? Because the only change that's happened is Satili Tupanua has gone into the back row and Josh Curran onto the bench. So, look, you would have thought maybe the way that they had been going, there could have been a few changes. They've left the centres as they are, Bronson Cherry and Stephen Crichton. Left the halves as they are, Matt Burton at 5'8", Lockie Galvin at halfback, Bailey Hayward still at number 9, but yeah, where are their points going to come from? I don't know. Some interest. I just don't know where their points are going to come from. They've struggled in the last few weeks, but Yeah, I just don't know where they're going to get their points from. Viliami Kikau, that's a big loss. He's been out for a couple of weeks now for the Bulldogs. Yeah, they are struggling off the field. On the field attacking. They lost the last 3 games after beating the Penrith Panthers, who that was their first loss of the season. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there. The Dolphins, they had a great win over the Storm last week. So, look, the Dolphins, they have only beaten the Bulldogs once in their history, their very short history, and that was last season, 44 points to 8. So, look, I think the Dolphins can really turn it on here against the Bulldogs at Suncorp if it's a nice, dry, fast track. We saw there was some weather conditions last week up in Brisbane, but I think if it's nice, dry, they can turn it on. I think this could be a 13-plus game, to be honest, and I don't know if the Bulldogs have got any answers to these Dolphins. So, look, I'm going to tip the Dolphins in that one. Friday football goes to Gosford. It is the Roosters taking on the Gold Coast Titans at 6 p.m. That is the first game on the Friday night. And, look, Angus Crichton, he went off last week in the win over the Broncos. So, interesting to see that he has been named medial ligament injury, so maybe it hasn't been too bad, but maybe he will get removed later on in the week, closer to game time. Peter Goff is the referee for this game, and the senior review official is Adam G. For the Roosters, they have obviously lost Lindsay Collins as well. I think that was a Category 1 HIA, and Mark Nwanganitawase, it was a syndesmosis injury for him. So, Spencer Leniu comes into the starting side for Lindsay Collins. Now, a bit of news about Spencer Leniu in the social media world lately. Potentially not happy at the Roosters and looking to move on. There has been talks that he will join Jerome Luai over in PNG in 2028. But will he want to get out of the Roosters early before then as well? Who knows? But a little bit of talk about that. Certainly the Parramatta fans would want him there. I did a poll the other day, and not a lot of people did say yes, they would have him at Parramatta. So that is something for him. The good story of last weekend, Cody Ramsey. He gets that wing position with Mark Nwanganitawase, Marky Mark out. So maybe this is a chance for him to secure that position whilst Marky Marky's out. A good story there. I think it's about 4 years he hasn't played through some medical conditions. Changed clubs from the Dragons to the Roosters, and got his shot last week, and obviously grabbed it with both hands. Probably a little bit rusty, obviously, and that's not anything that would be unusual, but he's got that starting position this week. The Titans, I don't know, they just, they lost to the Raiders last week up at the Gold Coast. Although they did beat the Roosters last year, that was early on in the season, and that one was at Allianz Stadium, but that was early on in the season. The Roosters, they're slowly getting into gear. I think they've won the last 5, I think. So they will be hard to beat again. And again, this one could be a 13-plus game, I think. The Roosters know how to score points. They've nearly scored 100 more points than the Titans. But funnily enough, they have both conceded around the same amount of points as well. 204 for the Titans and 202 for the Roosters. So something that we know that the Roosters can score points. But yeah, their defence there is a little bit worrying, you would say. They did let the Broncos into the game last week. and it was nearly a concern for coach Trent Robinson because, they were winning 30-0 and they nearly let the Broncos back into that game. But, look, I can't see the Titans getting a win in this one. Josh Hannay, he has mixed up his halves, so I'm not too sure if that's a good thing or not. We'll just have to wait and see. But Jaden Campbell has gone to 5/8, and Zane Harrison has he's going to be debuting. He'll be halfback, and Lachlan Ilias drops back to the reserves as a result. So, look, a little bit of change there in the halves, but I think this could be 13 plus to the Roosters. This is going to be a big win for them. Friday night, 8 p.m, the second game on Friday night, the Cowboys taking on the Eels. The 6th place Cowboys taking on the 15th place Eels. Well, look, we'll start with the Cowboys. Jeremiah Nanai, now that's a sad story for him. He came back from injury, I think, 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately has gone back out with injury, a shoulder injury. So that is disappointing for him because it did look like he was going to be back, but he has succumbed to that shoulder injury. That's the only change from the side that beat the Bulldogs last week pretty convincingly. Sam McIntyre goes into the starting side. Now, interestingly enough, Jason Taumalolo will become the Cowboys' most capped player. He overtakes Jonathan Thurston. I think last week he equaled the other JT on, I think it could have been 294 games. But this week he will overtake JT and be the most capped player. Obviously won that premiership with the Cowboys in 2015 and signed a big 10-year deal. So I'm not too sure how many years he got left on that one, to be honest. That's a big milestone for him. So you'd think that the Cowboys players would get up for him in a big milestone game. So, look, who knows what will happen there. But only one change. The Cowboys have been playing some pretty good footy lately. As I said, they got a good win against the Bulldogs. They beat the Sharks as well at Queensland Country Banks Day, and they went down to the Sea Eagles, but they beat the Broncos and Dragons before that. My poor old Eels, well, they are 1 from their last 5, and look, again, the injury curse has struck again. Talon De Silva, well, he'll get an opportunity to start this game with Riley Smith unavailable due to that sternum injury that he has been carrying throughout the year, although he really aggravated it and looked like he came off in a great deal of pain last week. That was pretty early on in that game, and unfortunately he will be out for a little bit now. So also Will Penasini will be out of this game as well. So osteitis pubis Penasini is battling. So look, Jordan Samrani, one of those injured players early on in the season, is back. He played New South Wales Cup last week, and he will take Will Penasini's space. If I could get my words out, he will take Penasini's place in the side, which is great to see Jordan back. I like Jordan as a player. Centre is one of the positions he can play. He can also play back row as well. Look, one thing that will be interesting in this game is, and I should say too, Kelma Tuolangi comes into the starting back row with Charlie Guymer dropping back to jersey number 17 on the interchange bench. So, look, one thing that will be interesting to see, I think that will mean that Talon De Silva will have to play 80 minutes. You potentially could have Dylan Walker play a sort of hooker part of role, but I think he'd be wasted there in that position. But big responsibility for Talon now, and look, in those humid conditions up in Townsville, it's going to be very tough, very tough. So Reed Marnie up against Talon De Silva, that will be an interesting battle there. Obviously, Mitchell Moses up against Tom Dearden, New South Wales and Queensland. They will be at each other again this game. And look, again, it'll be Mitchell Moses' kicking game that will be... Parramatta will rely on that one. It will be very, very important. It's the first time in 3 years that Parramatta have travelled up to North Queensland for a game. The previous two meetings have been at CommBank Stadium, and Parramatta have got those victories. So, look, they will go up there with a little bit of confidence. They have got the job done before, obviously in the 2022 prelim final, but that was a long time ago now. That is for sure, but I will tip the Eels in that one. The Dragons and Knights kick off Super Saturday at 3 p.m. at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. Clint Gutherson is back from his hamstring injury now. Interestingly enough, he's back in the fullback position. Some people have been saying that potentially no, he shouldn't be a fullback. Maybe move into the centres, but he has got that fullback spot. Tyrell Sloan goes back to the 6-man bench as well, and good to see Coach Dean Young stick with Cade Reid in that halfback position. Kyle Flanagan in that jersey number 18 for the Dragons. So, look, they had the bye last week, so they could be fresh, or they will be fresh. They'll be raring to go. The Dragons seem to play a little bit better down in Wollongong, but the Newcastle Knights, how good did they go against the Rabbitohs? That was a high-scoring game, though. They'll be disappointed about that. But they have got no changes to their side. So, look, another run-around for Kalen Ponga in this side, as well as Bradman Best as well, and Dylan Brown as well. So, look, they were playing some great footy, and they did on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday afternoon last week. And, they can score some points as well. 232 points they've scored this season compared to the Dragons' 114. Interestingly enough, again, points conceded. 262 for the Newcastle Knights, 265 for the Dragons. So, look, that is an interesting stat there. And the reason I say it's interesting is because the Newcastle Knights, they are in 10th position on the ladder, and the Dragons are in 17th. So, defence is sort of similar. Todd Smith is the referee, and Ashley Klein is in the bunker there. Look, I probably went pretty close to tipping the Dragons for a victory here, but I just think maybe the way that the Newcastle Knights played last week, I'm going to go the Newcastle Knights to get a win away from home this time. But look, I just think there's some pretty key matchups here. Obviously, Kalen Ponga and Clint Gutherson, both the fullbacks there. Dane Gagai and Valentine Holmes, that will be interesting there as well. And sort of two youngish sort of halves combinations for both the Newcastle Knights and the Dragons. So Daniel Atkinson and Cade Reid, Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Brown. So look, Dylan Brown's been around for a while now, but not as a halfback. So some sort of youngish halves there. So that will be interesting to see there as well. But I just think that Newcastle will get that win down in Wollongong. The Newcastle Knights will get the win at Wynn. How's that one? There you go. Rabbitohs and Sharks. This is the 5:30 p.m. game. This one's at a core stadium. I reckon there could be about 20,000 there, to be honest. And it probably should be the way that the Sharks played last week. And look, the Rabbitohs, they went down to the Newcastle Knights last week. But a little bit interesting what's going on here. Coach Wayne Bennett has made some changes. Ashton Ward has come into the halfback spot. Jamie Humphries has gone back to jersey number 16 on the bench. Jai Gray has come back from injury. I like the way little Jai plays, so good to see him back there, which is a good one. Campbell Graham goes to the centres because Jack White and broken arm. Poor bugger. 8 weeks or so he could be out, or he will be out of action for. So that's a big loss for the Rabbitohs. Matt Duffy, he goes back to the extended bench. Interchange number 14 there. So that's an interesting one there. And Keon Kalamatangi, he returns to the front row. Ewan Aiken comes into the starting side. In the back row, Tavita Totola shifting to the interchange. So, look, a few changes to the Rabbitohs side. We know they can score points. Hence, like last week, they 260 points scored, 244 for the Sharks. Very sort of similar again. Only about 16 points difference in defence. So 208 for the Sharks, 192 for the Rabbitohs. Interestingly enough, Latrell Mitchell elapsed his media ban today. He spoke to the media about a few things, saying that he is really happy off field, and that is transpiring to what is on field. But look, I think that centre batter, Latrell Mitchell, he is in fine form at the moment, but coming up against KL Iro, that will be an interesting one there. I think that'll be a good matchup. KL Iro, he scored 3 tries last week. Latrell, he got 1, and I still don't know how he got that one, to be honest. But I think I like the look of the Rabbitohs in this one. Good forward battle between both of these teams as well. So this one will be probably maybe one of the games of the round, if not the game of the round. For the Sharkies, there's no changes to their side, so that is pretty good for them. That's what you want, consistency. You want the same sort of team running in and out, week in, week out. I'm going to tip the Rabbitohs in that one, by the way. Sea Eagles and Broncos at 4 Pines Park. This should be a beauty. 7th place Sea Eagles, 9th place Broncos. The Broncos, well, again, they've got some injuries and suspensions. Tom Duffy will wear the number 7 jersey for Adam Reynolds. He had a head knock last week, so he'll be stepping down for 1 week. Jesse Arthurs replaces Katoni Staggs, and I don't know why he did what he did, but these things happen in a game of rugby league, I guess. 2 weeks, I think, suspension for Katoni. And Dean Mariner as well. Pretty concerning leg injury as well. So we wish him all the best in his recovery. So Ben Hunter has been named in the reserves as he chases an early return from a knee injury, but maybe not this week. But a few changes for the Broncos there. For the Sea Eagles, Jamal Fogarty is back. Last week was a late withdrawal with a groin injury. Joey Walsh goes back to the 6-man bench. Ethan Bullimore comes into the starting side. Kobe Hetherington suffered a head knock last week. So that's just one little change there for the Sea Eagles. Look, the Sea Eagles played really well, I thought, last week against the Penrith Panthers. They held them for a long time. Only went down by 2 points. Just couldn't get the victory. But they've sort of turned a corner ever since Kieran Foran took over. They've won 4 of their last 5. And look, they are scoring points, 227, the Broncos 210, and their defence has tightened up as well, 176 points conceded, 209 for the Broncos. So, look, I think the Broncos might find it hard to win this game, just with the way that the Sea Eagles are playing, but I think the Sea Eagles will get this done at home. I think it'll be like a 1-12 game. I just think the experience of those halves for Manly will get them around the park, and yeah, I just think their experience in the halves. Obviously, you've got to watch Cooler out the back there, and Jason Saab has that speed. So, that. I think those Jason Saab, Cooler, they are fast. They are fast. Lehigh Hopewadi, he knows how to score a try as well. Their big forward pack, Manly, as well. Hamoli Olakawatu, Ben Travojevic, Jake Travojevic, Daniela Paseka. And there'll be a sold-out crowd there at Manly. That is for sure. But look, I can't see the Broncos getting this job done. They leaked in too many points in that first half against the Roosters. They won't want to do that again, obviously. They won't want to give Manly a start. But Manly, they have beaten the Broncos 34 points to 6 last year. Different circumstances, different players. I think Manly will get that one. But that's looking forward to that game as well on Saturday night, 7:35 p.m. Those 2 games back to back, the Rabbitohs and Sharks and Sea Eagles Broncos, they are some cracking games there. Well, speaking of cracking games, it is the Storm taking on the West Tigers down at Amy Park. Now, what is happening with the Storm? 7 losses in a row. Surely it cannot be 8 losses in a row. Surely. Surely it cannot be. But you never know. But I think the Tigers are going to do it hard this week. They've got a few outs. Still no Jareen Buller. And some good news for you Tigers fans. Signing a new 4-year deal with the Tigers. So, great news for you guys. He is a great player and one that you wanted to hang on to and you are hanging on to. So, that is great news for you guys. But you also have Adam Dewey out as well. Samuela Fainu out as well. So some couple of big outs for them. And that shoulder, Jareen Bull is still out with a shoulder injury. So Heath Mason. Now keep an eye on this guy. He wears the headgear, I think, and he has impressed me in the couple of games that he has played. Taruva moves to the wing for Mason to go into that fullback position. Patrick Herbert replaces Stafford Toa. And Jock Batten, he goes back into halfback after Adam Dewey unfortunately dislocated his shoulder. I think it's 4 to 6 weeks for them. So for his injury. So Kai Pearce-Paul is back, so that's a good boost for the Tigers. And Mav Guy has been named on the interchange bench, the extended bench, jersey number 18 for the Tigers. So good luck, Mav, if you get a start. I actually saw MG the other day at the Pioneer Tavern. It was my birthday the other day. He wished me happy birthday. Great man. Had a little bit of a chat, and I apologise I was not having his schnitzel at the Pioneer Tavern. I apologise too, Mav. I wasn't having your one either. But for the Storm, Jerome Hughes has been named to return at halfback. Now, that's probably a good thing because Tyrone Wishart suffered an ankle injury after he scored that try last week. So, probably some great news for the Storm. But look, keep an eye on Suafa'alongo. Those tries he has scored in those last couple of weeks, absolutely outstanding. Yeah, go back and have a look at those if you can. Harry Grant, he'll be crucial in this game. I just think, look, no matter how bad the Storm are going, I just think in this game they just have too much experience for the Tigers. And look, the Tigers, they won't take into this game last year's result. They are a different team. It was 64-0 last year. They are a different team. They do have injuries, but they will be concentrating on a win. So, but I just find it very hard for them to do it. I think this could be another 13-plus victory to the Storm, to be honest. And I will tip the Storm in this one. Adam G has got the reins of this one. He is the referee. Sunday afternoon, the Raiders and Panthers at GIO Stadium down in Canberra. Big news for the Raiders. Ethan Stranger's back, so that's good news for them. Kyo Weeks goes back to fullback. Dane Laurie shifts to the interchange. Hudson Young is back from suspension, so a big in for them. Even though they did get the win last week, Ashley Klein is a referee in this one. The Panthers, well, look, they got stability, don't they? They're enjoying that. They got stability. No changes to their side. That beat Manly last week, so that's great news for them. But look, the Raiders got the victory last year, and if you remember, that was the game out at Mudgee. Kyo Weeks scoring that try, I think it was in Golden Point. That was unbelievable finish to that game. But that game was out at Mudgee. The Panthers have only lost one game this year against the Bulldogs. The Raiders, they've been up and down. Some may say this could be a little bit upset, but I think the Panthers will keep on going there as well on their winning merry way and keep it going. Ashley Klein is the referee. Grant Atkins is in the bunker. So there's your round review. I don't think there is any news as such to come out today. Jack Cogger, he accepted a two-match accepts a ban for he was a grade 2 high tackle charge. He will miss the game against the Raiders there. We spoke about Tony Staggs, 2 weeks, and a few other fines as well. But no other real NRL news to come out this week so far at the time of recording. So, look, that is the round review. If anything comes up, I will let you know. But look, enjoy your rugby league over the weekend. I certainly will. I'll be watching as many games as possible. Definitely the Parramatta game against the Cowboys. But good luck. Enjoy your rugby league over the weekend. Good luck with your tips as well. That is the round preview of the NRL round number 10. The Paracay podcast by the fan for the fans. Go Para!
Thanks for listening